Hey everyone, how y'all doing today? I hope you're all safe, blessed, and surrounded by peace. Today's story, Hugh, it's going to shake your emotions, test your patience, and maybe even make you want to throw a pillow at the wall. So sit back, relax, and picture this. This is the story of a wife who loved deeply, trusted blindly, and sacrificed everything, only to be betrayed by not one person but two. And the second person was from her own bloodline. My name is Elena. For 4 years I believed I was living the dream, a steady job, a cozy home, and a husband I adored with my whole heart. Marcus, he was charming, soft-spoken, ambitious, one of those men who could smile and melt all your anger away. I thought I had won life's lottery the day I married him. But life has a cruel way of showing you what's real. It began on a Thursday evening. I came home after a double shift at the hospital, exhausted, hungry, and craving nothing but sleep. The moment I stepped inside the house, something felt wrong. Not loudly wrong, quietly wrong, like a whisper behind your back. Then I smelled it, a sweet floral perfume, strong, familiar, but not mine. I stood there in the hallway, holding my bag, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. I told myself, Elena, you're tired, get some rest. I forced a laugh, I tried to shake it off. But then I went into the bedroom. And there it was. A small gold bracelet lying at the edge of the bed, thin, cheap, but unforgettable, because it belonged to one person and one person only. My cousin Tiana. My chest tightened, my stomach twisted, my hands began to shake. I looked around the room at the pillows, the sheets, the slight indent on the mattress as if someone had sat there recently. I wanted to scream, I wanted to cry, but instead I froze. Marcus came home an hour later, kissed my cheek like everything was normal, and asked about my day. And I, stupidly, softly asked, "Did anyone come by today?" He didn't answer immediately. He paused for half a second, barely noticeable, but enough for my heart to drop. Then he laughed. "No babies, why?" I smiled at him. Because now I knew he was lying. And the worst part, I could see it in his eyes. He thought I was too naive to notice. But instead of confronting him, I stayed silent. Sometimes silence is more powerful than shouting. Sometimes you learn more when you pretend you know nothing. Over the next few weeks, everything changed. Marcus became distant. He slept facing away from me. He took longer showers. His phone never left his pocket. The man who used to touch me gently now avoided my hands like they burned him. And Tiana, oh, she became bold, too bold. She visited more often. She hugged Marcus too long. She laughed too loud. She wore the same floral perfume that now haunted my sheets. But I stayed quiet. Because I needed proof. Because when betrayal comes from family, you can't just accuse, you need evidence. One Saturday, Marcus said he was helping a friend move. I watched him walk out the door and something in my spirit whispered, "Follow him." So I did. I followed him across town to a quiet neighborhood. He parked his car in front of a familiar house, my aunt's house, Tiana's house, and then he walked straight inside without knocking. My heart sank and my soul shattered. I stepped out of my car and walked closer. Through the living room window, I saw Marcus standing there, smiling in a way he never smiled at me anymore. And then Tiana walked up to him, wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. Not a short kiss. Not a confused kiss. A deep, passionate, hungry kiss. The world around me blurred. I felt my knees weaken, my lips trembled. My throat tightened so hard I could barely breathe. I wanted to scream, I wanted to throw something, I wanted answers. But I didn't move. I watched. I memorized everything. Because what hurts more than betrayal is realizing the betrayer doesn't even feel guilty. I don't remember how long I stood there, but when I finally walked back to my car, the tears had dried on my face. My pain had turned into something else. Cold. Steady. Focused. I whispered to myself, "Okay, if you two want to play with my heart, my home, and my trust, then let me show you what I can do." From that day on, I played the role of the perfect wife. I smiled, I cooked, I kissed his cheek, and all the while I gathered everything. Texts, times, receipts, phone calls, lies, every single thing. And then one night while doing laundry I found it, the final proof, a hotel receipt for 2 people, a couple's suite, last Friday, minutes away from Tiana's house. I held that receipt in my hand and took a deep breath. No tears, no screaming, just calm. I folded it neatly and placed it in a folder labeled Truth. Marcus came home later, kissed my cheek and said he was tired. I looked at him and whispered, "Yes, and your long days are almost over." He didn't understand what I meant, but he would. Soon. Because betrayal had awakened a version of me he had never met. A woman who would not cry, would not beg, would not break. A woman who would take revenge slowly, beautifully, and powerfully. And trust me, I didn't sleep that night. Not because of the pain, but because of the clarity. The kind of clarity that comes when a woman finally stops hopping and starts planning. The next morning I woke up before Marcus, made breakfast like always, packed his lunch, kissed his cheek and watched him walk out the door. He thought everything was normal. He thought I was the same soft, forgiving wife he married. But that woman was gone. The first step of my revenge, silence. For the next 2 weeks I acted sweeter than honey. I asked about his day. I massaged his shoulders. I cooked his favorite meals. I laughed at his dry jokes. I hugged him at night, even though inside I felt nothing. And he ate it up. He thought he had fooled me. He thought I didn't know a thing. He thought his secret was safe. But every night after he fell asleep, I gathered more evidence. Screenshots, call logs, location history, hotel records, bank withdrawals, messages he thought he deleted. I printed everything. I recorded everything. And I organized it in a neat binder titled, "For Marcus and Tiana with Love. The second step, let their comfort grow." You see, when someone is cheating, they get bold when they think they're getting away with it. And bold leads to careless. Marcus suddenly started working late. He took extra showers. He shaved more often. He bought a new shirt, expensive, something he never did for me. And Tiana. Her visits became constant. She would pretend to stop by to borrow sugar or ask about a recipe, but she'd glance around our house like she was imagining her future inside it. Every time she hugged me, she smelled like that same sickening perfume. And every time she smiled, I knew she believed she was winning. I let her believe that. Because the best revenge is served when they think they're safe. The third step, the trap. Marcus came home early one evening, excited and nervous. "I have good news," he said. I smiled softly. "Tell me." He took my hands. "Baby, I got a job offer. A good one, high salary, benefits, everything we dreamed of." I hugged him. "That's amazing, Marcus, I'm so proud of you." He smiled wider. But I saw something in his eyes. Guilt. Fear. A secret. Later that night, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed. "Tiana, did you tell her she needs to sign the papers before next week?" My chest burned. Not with heartbreak, but with satisfaction. The trap had started. I didn't look at the message again. I didn't need to. Because I already had a plan. The fourth step, the setup. The next day I called Tiana. My voice was soft, warm, friendly. "Hey girl, are you free this Friday? I want to treat you to lunch." She hesitated for a moment, probably wondering if I knew anything. But she always believed she was smarter than me. "Of course," she said, "that sounds nice." Little did she know. Friday was the day her life would explode. Friday afternoon, the confrontation begins. I booked a table at a beautiful rooftop restaurant. Bright, elegant, quiet. The perfect place for a woman to tell the truth. And for 2 snakes to choke on it. Tiana arrived first, wearing a tight dress and that same floral perfume. "Wow, you look great," she said. You too, I replied with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. We ordered food. We made small talk. I watched her squirm, waiting for the moment I'd snap. But I didn't snap. I took a slow sip of my drink and said, Tiana, I know. Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. You know what? She whispered. I know about you and Marcus. She went pale. Then red. Then pale again. I set a small envelope on the table. You might want to look at this. She opened it slowly, her hands shaking. Inside was a stack of photos. Her and Marcus at the hotel. Her kissing him. Her sitting on his lap. Her texting him late at night. She flipped through them, her breath coming faster. Elena listened. I held up my hand. No, you listened. My voice was soft, but it shook her more than screaming ever could. You betrayed me. You slept with my husband. You came into my home. You hugged me. You smiled in my face. And you thought I wouldn't find out. She swallowed hard, eyes filling with tears. I'm sorry, it just happened. Nothing just happens. You made choices. I leaned in closer. And now you're going to deal with the consequences. She started crying. People at nearby tables looked over. I didn't care. I stood up, leaned down and whispered, Don't worry, Marcus will join us soon. She froze. What? Oh yes, I smiled. He's on his way. The fifth step, the explosion. 5 minutes later, Marcus walked in looking confused. He saw me. He saw Tiana with the envelope. And he froze. Elena, what's going on? I sat down calmly. Sit, Marcus. He sat like a guilty child. I pulled out the binder. Thick, organized, full of every lie, every secret, every kiss. I placed it in front of him. This is everything, every detail of your affair, every lie you told, every hotel you paid for, every time you left me at home thinking you deserved better. His face drained of color. Elena, please. No, I cut him off. You don't speak now. I looked at Tiana. You take your things and leave me alone forever. She nodded, sobbing silently. Then I turned to Marcus, the man I once loved with my whole heart. And you. You're going to get exactly what you deserve. He looked terrified. Elena, please don't do this. I smiled slowly. I already did. By the time I walked out of that restaurant, both of their lives were already ruined, and they didn't even know the half of what was coming next. When I walked out of that restaurant, the cool wind hit my face like freedom. My hands were steady. My heartbeat was calm. And for the first time in months, I felt completely in control. Behind me, Marcus and Tiana were still sitting at the table, speechless, small and exposed. They had no idea how much damage had already been done. They didn't know the avalanche that was heading straight toward them. And that was the sweetest part. Because revenge isn't loud. It's not messy. It's not rushed. Revenge is patient. And mine was just beginning. The aftermath begins. That night Marcus didn't come home. He didn't call. He didn't text. He didn't even try to show up at the door. I know him. He was probably packing around somewhere, sweating, panicking, trying to figure out how much I knew. Trying to figure out if I would take him back. Trying to figure out if his mother, or God, or luck would save him. But Marcus forgot something about me. I don't break. I rebuild. I made myself a cup of tea, opened my laptop, and reviewed everything I had collected over the past month. Every screenshot. Every receipt. Every call log. Every hotel booking. Every message. Then I opened a fresh Word document titled, Final Move. Because tomorrow everything would go public. The night before the storm. The next morning I woke up early, showered, and dressed in the calmest shade of blue I owned. Not angry red. Not funeral black. Not heartbreak grey. Blue. Peaceful. Unbothered. Unshakable. I took the binder, the envelope, and a flash drive, and headed straight to my lawyer's office. When she saw the evidence, she blinked twice and said, "Elena, do you want divorce, compensation, or destruction?" I looked her dead in the eye. "All three." She smiled slowly. "Good, then sit down, because this is going to be fun." For the next hour and a half, she explained in simple detail how everything Marcus did, every hotel payment, every gift, every lie, could legally work in my favor. She explained how cheating impacts property distribution, how it affects financial settlements, how it affects alimony, how it affects reputation, and how family betrayal, especially with a relative, is treated even more severely in specific legal contexts. By the time I walked out, my plan was no longer just emotional. It was legal, strategic, deadly. The breakdown STARTS. That afternoon, Marcus finally called. His voice was soft, scared, shaky. "Elena, we need to talk." "We did talk," I said calmly, "at the restaurant." "No, I mean privately. Please, just us. I can explain." I interrupted him. "I don't need explanations, I need closure. Come get your things." "My things?" "Yes, I packed them already." He choked. He didn't expect that. "I'll be there in an hour," he whispered. I hung up before he could say anything else. Then I sat in the living room, waiting, calm as water. The house confrontation. The doorbell rang exactly 53 minutes later. I opened the door. Marcus looked like life had chewed him and spit him out. His hair was messy, eyes red, face pale. He wasn't wearing his usual cologne. He wasn't smiling. He looked smaller. "Elena, baby." "Don't call me that," I said gently. He stepped inside slowly, looking at the boxes I had placed by the door. "You really packed my stuff?" "Yes. I told you I would. I keep my word." He swallowed hard. "I never meant to hurt you, I swear it was stupid, it was." "Marcus," I said softly. "Don't insult me with excuses." He ran his hands over his face. "I made a mistake, okay, a big one, but we can fix this. We can get therapy, I'll block her. I'll change my number, I'll do anything." "Why?" I asked. He blinked. "Why what?" "Why now? Why are you suddenly sorry? Because I caught you? Or because you're scared of losing what you had?" He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. "You're not sorry for cheating," I continued quietly. "You're sorry for being exposed." He stepped closer, desperate. "Elena, please don't do this. I gave you everything." I laughed softly. "You gave me everything." "No, Marcus, I gave you everything. The home, the meals, the stability, the comfort, the loyalty, the love. And you repaid me with betrayal." His lips trembled. "I don't want to lose you." "You already did." He stood there for a long moment. Then a tear slipped down his cheek. "Not for me, but for himself." I opened the door. "Goodbye, Marcus." He hesitated, then walked out slowly, carrying the last box of his things. And just before he stepped into the hallway, he whispered, "This isn't over." I smiled. "Oh, it's over for you. But not for me." And I closed the door in his face. TIANA's turn. Not even an hour had passed when I received a call from Tiana. Her voice was tiny, weak, trembling. "Elena, please, can I come over? Can we talk? I'm sorry, please." "No," she sobbed. "Please, Elena, I'll do anything. Just don't tell my mom." "Oh, I won't tell her," I said. "I don't have to." What do you mean?" "You'll see." And I hung up. Because her turn was coming too. And it would be louder. The social explosion. The next morning I posted a single message on Facebook, not dramatic, not petty, not messy. Just a picture of Marcus and Tiana. At the hotel. Holding hands. With a timestamp. And the caption. If betrayal came with a face, it would be these two. No arguments. No paragraphs. No insults. Just the truth. The internet did the rest. By noon, their entire friend group knew. My family knew. Her family knew. His co-workers knew. Her co-workers knew. And the comments. Oh, the comments. People dragged them so hard the ground shook. Tiana's mother called me screaming, crying, devastated, embarrassed. Marcus's sister messaged me apologizing for her brother's stupidity. My friends showed up at my house like soldiers. And Tiana. She deleted every social media account she had. Because she couldn't handle the truth when it was finally public. The legal blow. A few days later, Marcus received a letter via courier. A divorce petition. Filed with evidence. Filed with witnesses. Filed with all hotel bills. Filed with cheating claims. Filed with everything he needed to see but never expected. He texted me, "Elena, you're destroying my life." I replied, "No, you destroyed mine first. I'm just giving yours back to you." Then I blocked him. Blocked his mother. Blocked his sister. Blocked the cousin. Blocked everyone connected to the past. The day of court. Marcus came into the courtroom looking like a ghost. Tiana did not show her face. She knew what she had done. My lawyer presented the evidence neatly. Every photo. Every message. Every hotel booking. Every detail of the affair. The judge didn't even let Marcus speak. The verdict was quick, clean, sharp. Divorce granted. No assets to him. No compensation. No claims. No alimony. He walked out with nothing. Not even dignity. The final move. Later that evening I sat on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, sipping tea. I didn't miss him. I didn't think about him. I didn't feel empty. I felt full. Peaceful. Strong. Whole. Free. I had lost a husband. But I had gained myself. And then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Why did you do this to us?" I smiled. Because the number was Tiana's. I replied, "I didn't destroy your life. I just revealed it." Then I turned off my phone, put it face down and enjoyed the quiet. Because revenge wasn't the moment I exposed them. It wasn't the divorce. It wasn't the humiliation. Revenge was the peace I felt afterward. The peace they would never have again. Peace. That was the word echoing in my apartment, in my chest, in the quiet hum of the evening. After everything I had been through, after every tear I held back, after every lie I forced myself to swallow, peace felt foreign, but beautiful, almost holy. I sat on my couch, sipping tea, staring at the faint city lights outside my window, letting the silence settle around me like a blanket. No arguments. No excuses. No walking on eggshells. No perfume that didn't belong to me. Just silence. I didn't realize how loud my life had been until it finally went quiet. But peace doesn't stay empty. It makes room for truth. And as I sat there alone, I finally began to process everything that had happened, every cold moment, every suspicious glance, every sign I ignored. The truth didn't hurt anymore. It felt clean. But life still had one more twist waiting for me. The message that changed everything. 3 days after the court hearing, I received a message. Not from Marcus. Not from Tiana. Not from anyone I expected. It was from an unknown number, simple and strange. Elena, we need to meet. It's about Marcus. Please, it's important. No names. No context. At first I ignored it. I didn't owe Marcus anything. I didn't owe his family anything. I didn't owe his mess anything. But the message came again. It's about something you don't know. Please give me 10 minutes. My curiosity, against my will, awakened. But curiosity is not weakness. It's preparation. So I replied, "Who are you?" A moment later, his co-worker. Please, I can't explain over text. Meet me at the cafe on Pine Street at 6. Something inside me tightened. Not fear. Not worry. Just a strange, cold sense that there was one last page left in this story. I checked the time, 4:17 p.m. I had almost 2 hours. I showered, dressed in all black, tied my hair back and walked out the door. Not because I needed answers, but because I wanted closure so complete that nothing, no rumor, no guilt, no secret, could ever pull me back into the past again. The cafe meeting. The cafe was half full when I walked in. Warm lights. Soft music. People laughing over pastries. A normal world, one I hadn't lived in for months. A woman in a beige coat stood up when she saw me. Late 30s. Tired eyes. Nervous energy. "Are you Elena?" she asked softly. "Yes." She swallowed thickly and motioned for me to sit. I'm Julia," she said. "I work with Marcus." I nodded, waiting. Her hands shook slightly as she held her cup. "First, I just want to say I'm so sorry for what he did. None of us expected it. None of us believed it when we found out." I didn't respond. Apologies from strangers meant nothing to me now. But then she leaned in and whispered, "Marcus didn't just cheat. He used you." My eyebrows lifted slightly. "Used me?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, he talked about it at work sometimes. Not proudly but shamelessly." I stared at her, expression calm. "Explain." She took a deep breath. The secret I never expected. "Marcus told us," she began carefully, "that he stayed with you because you were stable. Good job, good money, good home. He said he needed time to get on his feet." My stomach tightened, but I stayed silent. "He said once he graduated, once he got the new job and the salary, he'd figure out his personal life. That you were temporary. A stepping stone. A stepping stone. A tool. A convenience." Julia kept talking, unaware that every word she spoke was carving a new truth into my heart. "He even said, after he got the offer, he planned to file for divorce himself in a few months." I blinked once slowly. "So he was going to leave me anyway?" She nodded. "He said he didn't want to deal with the guilt yet. He wanted time." A laugh escaped my lips, quiet, humorless, cold. "The man who begged me to stay was planning to leave me the entire time." Julia continued. "And Tiana, your cousin, he told us she wasn't serious. Just fun until he got settled. He didn't plan a future with her either. He called her a distraction. A distraction. So he never loved her. Never intended to build anything with her. She destroyed our relationship for someone who didn't even want her. Pathetic. Pathetic for both of them. And the worst part," Julia whispered. She slid a small envelope toward me. "He asked me last week how he could change the listing on his emergency contact form. He said you wouldn't be needed anymore." I opened the envelope. Inside was a photocopy of the form. Under emergency contact, my name was crossed out. and beside it, in neat handwriting, TINAHAYS. I sat there calm, composed. Julia reached over, voice shaking. I'm so sorry, I thought you deserved to know. I nodded once. Thank you. She squeezed my hand gently. If it helps, people at the hospital don't respect him anymore. He lost credibility. He lost friendships. Everyone knows what he did. I didn't smile. Didn't frown. I simply stood up. Goodbye, Julia. And I walked out. The last straw. The sidewalk felt different beneath my feet. Not heavy. Not light. Just final. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't crumble. Instead, I felt something new. Relief. Marcus and Tiana weren't just cheaters. They were fools. Destroying themselves. Sabotaging their own futures. Dragging each other down into misery. And I was out. Free. Untouched by their disasters. That night my phone rang again. Marcus. Then Tiana. Then Marcus again. I let the calls ring. One after the other. Silence was my answer. But eventually, curiosity made me check the voicemail. Marcus's voice sounded broken. Elena, I know you've heard things. Please call me. Please, it's not what you think. I'm losing everything. I need you. I deleted it. Then I listened to Tiana. Elena, please, please, please talk to me. My mom kicked me out. Marcus isn't talking to me. Everyone hates us. I'm pregnant, Elena. I don't know what to do. I smiled. Because Karma didn't need my help. It handled everything by itself. I didn't reply. I deleted her message too. The final visit. A week later, I received an unexpected knock on my door. When I opened it, my breath didn't even hitch. Marcus stood there. Hair messy. Clothes wrinkled. Face unshaven. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. Elena, he whispered, voice trembling. I didn't respond. Please, please listen. I lost my job offer. They don't want me anymore. Julia told the supervisor everything. My record is messed up. My reputation is destroyed. Tiana won't talk to me. Her mom hates me. My friends blocked me. My family's ashamed. I'm losing my mind. I stared at him with a kind of peace he couldn't comprehend. Why are you here? He swallowed. Because I miss you. No, I said softly. You miss stability. You miss comfort. You miss the life I built for you. His lip quivered. I need you. You needed me before you threw me away, I replied calmly. You needed me before you touched my cousin. You needed me before you lied. Now you don't need me. You need the version of me you will never have again. His knees nearly buckled. Elena, please give me another chance. No. The quietness of my voice broke him more than screaming ever could. No, he whispered. No, I repeated. This door will never open for you again. He stared at me, tears dripping down his face like he was realizing the truth for the first time. You're really letting me go. I let you go the moment you kissed her. His sob cracked. I gently closed the door. And locked it. The peace after the war. After that day, my life shifted completely. I changed my number. I blocked every connection to that family. I sold the furniture that reminded me of him. I changed the layout of my home. I repainted the bedroom. I bought new sheets that smelled like lavender and calm. I rebuilt everything. Piece by piece. Just for me. Not for a husband. Not for a marriage. Not for expectations. Just for me. I got a promotion at work. I started going out with friends again. I learned to sleep without listening for footsteps at the door. And slowly, Beautifully. My life became mine again. Marcus. People whispered that he moved back with his parents, that jobs wouldn't hire him, that Tiana left town after losing everything, that both of them were drowning in consequences they created. But I didn't follow their story anymore, because their downfall wasn't my focus. My peace was, and that peace, it tasted like freedom. I didn't survive betrayal. I transformed because of it. And sometimes, losing people is the only way to find yourself. Peace became my new normal. Not loud, not euphoric, just quiet, steady grounding. The kind of peace you don't appreciate until you've lived through a storm that tried to drown you. I wasn't the same woman who once begged life to give her husband back. I wasn't the same woman who cried herself to sleep wondering what she had done wrong. I wasn't the same woman who blamed herself for another person's betrayal. No, that version of me had died the moment I closed the door on Marcus. And in her place stood someone stronger, someone smarter, someone who would never let anyone use her heart as a doormat again. But just when I thought the story was over, life gave me one last chapter, one final page. And this page wasn't about tears. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about loss. This final part was about rebirth, a new season. It had been 4 months since the divorce, 4 months of rebuilding, 4 months of finding myself again. I changed my furniture. I changed my habits. I changed my routine. I changed my energy. I even changed my smile, not because it was broken, but because it finally felt real again. People at work noticed. My friends noticed. Even strangers noticed. One of my co-workers, Leela, said, "Elena, you look lighter, like a weight, been lifted off your shoulders." And she was right. Because a weight had been lifted. The weight of a man who didn't deserve me. The weight of a cousin who took my kindness as weakness. The weight of expectations from people who didn't care about my heart. I was reborn. Slowly. Naturally. Quietly. Like a sunrise that doesn't need applause. The unexpected encounter. One Sunday morning, I went to the farmer's market, something I hadn't done in a long time. The smell of fresh bread, the chatter of people, the soft music from a nearby guitarist. It all felt simple, warm, human. I picked out apples, tomatoes, some flowers. And as I turned around, I bumped into someone. Not lightly. Full collision. My basket flew. His coffee spilled. We both gasped. "Oh my God," I began. "I'm so sorry," he said at the same time. We looked at each other. And for a moment the world paused. He was tall. Early 30s. Warm eyes. A soft smile. Not the charming, too smooth kind Marcus once used. No. This man's smile looked real. Calm. Grounded. He picked up my apples before I could. "I'm really sorry," he laughed. "I didn't see you, that was completely my fault." I shook my head. "It's fine, I wasn't watching where I was going." He handed me back the apples. "I'm Daniel," he said. "Elena." He smiled again. "That's a pretty name." I didn't blush. I didn't flinch. I didn't overthink. I just smiled back. "Thank you." We talked for a few minutes. Small talk. Light conversation. Nothing deep. Nothing flirty. Just easy. Before we parted, he said, "Maybe I'll see you here again." "Maybe you will," I said. And that was it. No spark. No butterflies. No electricity. But also no fear. It was the most peaceful interaction I'd had with a man in years. I went home smiling, not because of him but because I realized something important. I could talk to someone new, without feeling trapped in old wounds. I was healing. The collapse of the past. Meanwhile, Marcus and Tiana's world continued to crumble. Not because of anything I did. Not because I wished it. But because their own choices were eating them alive. Marcus tried reaching out through unknown numbers. I never answered. I blocked each one. He sent emails. Deleted. Unread. He even sent a letter once. It started with, "Dear Elena, I can't live without." I tore it in half before finishing the sentence. What broke me once no longer had the power to touch me. Tiana, on the other hand, was facing a disaster of her own making. Rumors said her mother disowned her. Her friends avoided her. Her job fired her when the affair spread through social media. She moved several times. She struggled financially. She tried to reach out to me again, desperate for forgiveness. But forgiveness is not owed. Not demanded. Not forced. Forgiveness is earned. And neither of them earned it. I didn't hate them. I didn't wish pain on them. I didn't celebrate their downfall. I simply disconnected. Because peace doesn't grow where poison remains. The invitation. 2 months after the market encounter, Daniel reappeared, this time at a bookstore. I was browsing the self-help section, flipping through a book on boundaries, when I heard a familiar voice. Elena. I turned. There he was, the same warm eyes, same soft presence. I knew I'd see you again, he laughed. I smiled lightly. Hi, Daniel. We talked again. Easily. Comfortably. Naturally. No pressure. No expectation. Just conversation. We walked through the aisles together. He told me he was a physical therapist. I told him I was a nurse. He talked about his love for photography. I mentioned my obsession with tea. He talked about living alone. I talked about finding peace again. He looked at me gently and said, "You seem like someone who had to heal from something big." I didn't panic. I didn't run. I didn't shut down. Instead, I nodded. I did, but I'm okay now. But he smiled softly. I can tell. We walked to the counter together. He bought a book. I bought two. Before we parted ways, he hesitated slightly and said, "If you ever want to grab coffee or tea, sometime I'd like that." I didn't answer immediately. Not because I was scared, but because I wanted to answer honestly. Finally, I smiled. Maybe soon. He nodded. No rush, good things shouldn't be rushed. And there it was again, that easy energy. Not pushy. Not desperate. Not manipulative. Just steady. Just calm. Just real. The healing. Weeks passed. I continued living my life. Working. Cooking. Cleaning. Laughing with friends. Sleeping peacefully. Breathing freely. The ghost of my old marriage no longer lingered. The anger no longer burned. The sadness no longer swallowed me. I didn't think about Marcus. I didn't check on Tiana. I didn't stalk their social media. I didn't look for updates. I simply lived. And slowly, life began offering me new colors. Friends invited me out more. Colleagues complimented my glow. Strangers smiled at me. One day, while replanting my indoor plants, I realized something profound. I finally forgave myself. Not them. Myself. For staying too long. For loving too hard. For ignoring the signs. For losing pieces of myself to hold someone else together. Forgiving myself was the real freedom. The courage to say yes. One rainy Friday afternoon, I received a short text. Daniel, I'm at the cafe on Pine Street. Thought of you when I saw the tea menu. I stared at the message. Not scared. Not hesitant. Just thoughtful. So I grabbed my coat, slipped on my boots, and stepped into the soft drizzle outside. The cafe was warm and cozy when I walked in. There he was sitting by the window, reading a book, a cup of something steaming in front of him. I approached slowly. He looked up and smiled. A real smile. Not one born of guilt or secrets or manipulation. Just pure kindness. Hi, I said. He gestured to the seat across from him. I'm really glad you came. I sat down. Not as a broken woman. Not as a betrayed wife. Not as someone searching for love. I sat down as a whole person. Rebuilt. Recovered. Reborn. I'm glad I came too, I whispered. And for the first time since my world collapsed, I felt something warm. Not butterflies. Not infatuation. Not longing. Hope. Soft, gentle, quiet hope. My story didn't end with betrayal. It didn't end with heartbreak. It didn't end with revenge. It didn't even end with divorce. My story ended the moment I chose myself, and began the moment I realized I deserved more. Hope, that tiny, warm feeling I thought had died inside me, began to flicker again. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a fireworks way. Just a soft, steady glow, like a candle in a quiet room. Sitting across from Daniel in that cafe, I realized something important. I wasn't scared anymore. Not of loving again. Not of trusting again. Not of showing up again. Because I finally understood. Love isn't the enemy. People who misuse it are. And Daniel, he wasn't misusing anything. He was simply showing up. Gently. Respectfully. Patiently. And I was finally ready to let the past stay where it belonged. Behind me. A new kind of connection. We talked for nearly 3 hours that day. Not forced conversation. Not awkward pauses. Not nervous overthinking. Just a flow. He told me about the patients he worked with, how seeing someone walk again after injury felt like witnessing a miracle. I told him about my night shifts, the lives saved, the lives lost, the weight of wearing scrubs and carrying people's stories. He wasn't intimidated by my strength. He wasn't threatened by my independence. He didn't flinch when I mentioned my divorce. Instead, he said softly, "Sometimes life breaks people just enough so the light can get in." I stared at him, blinking slowly. "You sound like someone who's been through something too," I said gently. He looked down at his cup, then back at me. "I have," he admitted, "but I healed, and you're healing beautifully." His voice wasn't flirtatious. It wasn't performative. It was real. And that was everything. The weight of the past. But healing isn't linear. That night when I got home, the rain had stopped but my thoughts hadn't. I sat in the living room with the lights off, listening to the soft hum of the refrigerator. And then the memories came. Not painful, just lingering. Marcus's lies. Tiana's betrayal. The years I lost. The trust I gave. The wounds I carried. I thought I was done processing everything. Turns out there's always a little more left. But I didn't cry. I didn't spiral. I didn't collapse. Instead, I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "You're not that woman anymore. You survived, you grew, you healed." And for the first time, I believed it. The call I didn't expect. A few days later, I received a call from an unknown number. For a moment my chest tightened, the old fear, the old anxiety, but then I reminded myself, unknown numbers don't have power over me anymore. I answered calmly. Hello. A familiar voice spoke. Galina, it's me, Tiana. I didn't speak. I just waited. She swallowed hard on the other end. I'm not calling to argue, or blame you, or ask for anything. I just need to tell you something. Silence. Then, I'm leaving town. I blinked. I lost everything, Elena, she continued, voice cracking. My job, my apartment, my friends, my mother kicked me out. Marcus left me. He said I ruined his life. Everyone hates me. I can't stay here anymore. Her breath hitched. I know you won't forgive me, I don't expect you to, but I need you to know I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve what I did. I didn't respond right away. Her voice trembled. I'm not asking for peace, just, I hope one day, even far in the future, you'll think of me without anger. I exhaled slowly. Tiana, I said quietly. Your apology doesn't heal what you broke, but I hope you heal something in yourself someday. She sobbed softly. Goodbye, Elena. Goodbye, I whispered. No anger. No hate. No revenge. Just closure. And that alone felt like a victory. The last ghost falls. That evening I received one more message, this time from Marcus. A message so simple it almost made me laugh. I heard Tiana is leaving town. Do you think we could meet? I stared at the screen, expression flat. Then I typed, no, and blocked him. Not to be petty. Not to be dramatic. But because I didn't need another conversation with a ghost I'd already buried. Marcus wasn't my ending. He wasn't my closure. He wasn't my future. He was just a chapter. A painful one. A necessary one. A past one. And the past doesn't get an audience in the future. Not anymore. A new beginning blooms. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and I became something. Not a couple. Not dating. Not undefined. Just natural. We texted occasionally. We met for tea when our schedules aligned. We walked in the park on Sundays. We talked about books and music and life and healing. He never rushed me. Never pushed me. Never asked for more than I was ready to give. One evening, while walking near the lake, he said something that took my breath away. You know, some people come into our lives to teach us lessons. But some come to teach us love again. His voice was gentle. Not heavy. Not demanding. I looked at the water, calm still, reflecting the sunset. I'm not ready for love, I admitted. He nodded. I know. But I'm ready for peace. He smiled. Then let's start there. And that was enough. Sometimes beginnings don't come with fireworks. Sometimes they come quietly. Softly. Like the first warm breeze after winter. The healing I didn't see coming. As the weeks turned into months, my life took a shape I had never imagined. I slept deeply. I woke up smiling. I started journaling again. I decorated my home not for someone else, but for myself. I tried new recipes. I bought fresh flowers every week. I took long walks. I drank tea without rushing. I breathed without fear. One morning, while watering my plants, I realized I wasn't waiting for the past anymore. I wasn't scared of the future. I was simply living in the present. And in that present, I found joy. Not loud joy. Not fleeting joy. But steady joy. Peaceful joy. Sincere joy. The kind of joy you don't lose because it comes from within. The final closure I didn't know I needed. One afternoon, months later, I received a brown envelope in the mail. No return names. No explanation. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Marcus's handwriting. A short note. Elena, I'm leaving the city too. I can't stay here after everything I did. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry for everything. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I understand now what I lost. I hope life gives you everything you deserve. Goodbyes. I reread it once, then folded it, placed it in a drawer, and closed the drawer. Not out of nostalgia, but out of closure. Every story needs an ending. This was mine. I didn't just heal from betrayal. I evolved beyond it. And sometimes, the most beautiful part of a painful story is realizing you survived it and didn't lose yourself in the process. Healing isn't a moment. It's a journey step by step, layer by layer, day by day. And by the time spring arrived, I didn't just feel different. I was different. My home looked different. My energy felt different. My smile looked different. My future felt different. And somewhere in that quiet transformation, life decided I was ready for the next chapter. Not the chapter where love crashes in suddenly. Not the chapter where someone sweeps you off your feet. But the chapter where life simply blossoms. A season of growth. I started doing things I hadn't done in years. I took a pottery class. I joined a Saturday morning yoga group. I started volunteering at the hospital's pediatric unit. I visited the beach alone, something I always wanted but never did with Marcus because he didn't like sand. One afternoon during pottery class, the instructor walked by and said, "Your hands seem lighter these days." I looked down at my clay bowl, smooth, round, steady. "I guess my heart is lighter too," I said. And it was true. I used to carry the weight of broken promises. Now I carried possibility. I used to carry hurt. Now I carried growth. I used to carry fear. Now I carried wisdom. But what I didn't know was that life had one more surprise waiting. And it would arrive on a gentle Sunday morning. An unexpected invitation. I was at a small outdoor flower market, smelling lavender and chamomile, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Elena." I turned. Daniel stood there with a small bouquet in his hand, not roses, not something performative but daisies. Simple. Warm. Soft. "I was hoping I'd see you," he said, smiling shyly. I smiled back. I guess we are both creatures of habit. He handed me one daisy from the bunch. "For you," he said, "no pressure, just a flower." I took it gently. "Thank you." We walked through the market together, talking about nothing and everything. A breeze tugged at my hair, and he reached out without thinking, then stopped himself unsure. I noticed. "It's okay," I said softly. He brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, a simple gesture, but respectful, gentle, present. For the first time in a long time, my heart didn't tense. Instead, it fluttered. Just a little. Before we parted, he looked at me with that warm seriousness he always had. "Would you like to go somewhere with me this Friday? Not a date, unless you want it to be, more like two people enjoying life together." I took a breath. Old Elena would have panicked. Old Elena would have said no out of fear. Old Elena would have shut down. But the woman standing there now, she was ready. "Okay," I said, "I'd like that." His smile widened, real, grateful, respectful. Friday it is. The first step into something new. Friday came faster than I expected. I spent the afternoon getting ready, not to impress him, not to hide insecurities, but because I wanted to feel beautiful for myself. Soft curls, light makeup, a simple white dress, and the calmest version of myself wearing it. When Daniel saw me, his expression softened into something sweet and sincere. "You look happy," he said. "Not beautiful. Not hot. Not perfect. Happy." It was the most honest compliment anyone had given me. We went to a lakeside trail, a place filled with trees, sunlight, soft breezes. We walked slowly, talking about childhood memories, food disasters, embarrassing stories. He told me about breaking his arm when he was 7. I told him about burning noodles the first time I lived alone. We laughed. We smiled. We let the conversation flow like water. At some point, we stopped by a wooden bench overlooking the lake. He turned to me, voice low but warm. "Elena, I want to ask you something, and you can say no, truly." I nodded. "I'd like to get to know you more intentionally. Slowly, carefully, at your pace. I'm not asking for a relationship today. I'm just asking for the chance to show you what kindness can feel like." My breath caught. Not because I was scared. Not because I was overwhelmed. But because this was the first time someone asked to know me. Not to use me, not to fill a void, not to lie to me. But to know me. I exhaled softly. "I think I'd like that too." His eyes brightened. Not with victory, but with gratitude. We didn't kiss. We didn't hold hands. We just sat there. Two people. Two stories. Two hearts learning how to trust again. The shadow of the past. But healing doesn't mean the past disappears. A week later, as I was leaving work, I saw someone standing outside the hospital entrance. Marcus. He looked thinner. Tired. Older. Like life had drained him. He saw me and froze, like he wasn't expecting I'd actually walk past him. But I didn't freeze. I didn't panic. I didn't lose my breath. I stood tall. "Elena," he said, voice raspy, "please listen to me." "No," I replied calmly. He swallowed hard. "I just want to apologize." "You already did," I said. "But I need you to know." "You don't need me to know anything." He looked like he might cry. "You moved on," he whispered. "Yes," I said. He took a shaky breath. "I thought you'd come back someday. I thought you'd miss me. I thought, I don't know, I thought you'd care." I stared at him softly, with a truth he wasn't ready for. "I did care, and then you taught me not to." His face crumpled. "But we were married. And you broke that." He stepped closer. "Don't I deserve a second chance?" I tilted my head. Did I deserve betrayal? Silence. Did I deserve lies? Silence. Did I deserve disrespect? His shoulders dropped. "No." "Then no," I said gently. "You don't deserve a second chance with me." He wiped his eyes. "I really loved you, Elena." "No," I corrected softly. "You loved what I did for your life. You loved the comfort. You loved the stability, but you didn't love me." He took a trembling breath. "Is there really no place for me in your future?" I shook my head. "There's not even a place for you in my past anymore." His lips parted in shock. I stepped around him. "Goodbye, Marcus." He didn't follow. He didn't call my names. He didn't chase me. Because even he understood the truth. Some doors once closed aren't meant to be opened again. The soul finally rests. That night Daniel called. "How was your day?" he asked softly. I hesitated for a moment, then told him everything. He didn't interrupt. He didn't ask for details. He didn't try to be a hero. He simply said, "I'm proud of you." Those words, they didn't heal me. They affirmed the healing I had already done. After the call, I stood by the window, looking out at the stars, breathing in the quiet. And I realized something powerful. For the first time in my adult life, my peace didn't depend on a person. Not Marcus. Not Tiana. Not Daniel. My peace depended on me. And I had finally learned how to protect it. I didn't just survive the storm. I learned how to walk in the rain without losing myself ever again. Peace wasn't quiet anymore. It wasn't a still lake with no ripples. It was something alive. Something moving. Something growing. Every morning felt lighter. Every night felt calmer. Every day felt like I was becoming more me. And even though life had tried to break me, the pieces it shattered became the foundation of someone stronger. Someone wiser. Someone unshakable. But just when I thought the past was finished with me, it decided to knock one more time. Not to break me. Not to hurt me. Not to drag me back. But to test who I had become. The call from the past. It was a Thursday evening when my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar but not unknown. It was her. Tiana's mother. A woman who had once adored me like a daughter, and then turned cold the moment she believed the lies her daughter spun. I debated ignoring the call, but something inside me whispered, "Answer it, this isn't fear anymore, this is closure." I picked up. Elena. Her voice was careful. Timid. "Yes." A shaky breath came through the line. "I'm sorry to bother you. I know I have no right to call, but I needed to tell you something." Silence. Then, Tiana, she was admitted to the hospital. My heart didn't stop. It didn't shatter. It didn't panic. But it did pause. "Why?" I asked quietly. "She collapsed at work. They said it was exhaustion and stress and maybe something else. She won't talk to any of us." I closed my eyes. Her mother continued, voice trembling. "She kept saying your name, Elena. Saying she ruined everything. Saying she wished she could take it all back. Saying she didn't deserve to live." A long silence settled between us. I didn't feel hate. I didn't feel anger. I felt human. "What do you want from me?" I asked gently. Her mother's voice broke. "Can you come, not as a friend, but as the only person she truly fears and respects at the same time? She needs to hear something from you, something I can't give." I opened my eyes. "I'll come," I whispered. "Not for Tiana. Not for her mother. But for me. To end the chapter the right way. With truth, not bitterness." The hospital room. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and coffee, a scent I knew too well from my shifts. When I reached Tiana's room, her mother stepped aside, wiping tears from her cheeks. "She's been quiet all day. Maybe you can get through to her." I nodded and entered. The room was dimly lit. Machines beeped softly. A monitor glowed faintly. And there she was. Tiana. The girl I grew up with. The cousin I trusted. The person who betrayed me in the cruelest way possible. She looked nothing like the confident, flashy woman she once was. Her hair was unbrushed. Her eyes were hollow. Her face pale. She looked fragile. More fragile than I'd ever seen her. She looked up when she heard my footsteps. Her breath caught. "Elena." Her voice was barely a whisper. I stood at the foot of her bed. "I heard you wanted to talk," I said softly. Tiana stared at me like she wasn't sure I was real. Her lips trembled. "What are you doing here?" she croaked. "You called for me," I reminded gently. She pressed her palms to her eyes and sobbed. "I didn't think you'd come. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve anything." Her voice cracked like broken glass. "I destroyed my life. I destroyed your life. I destroyed everything. I just want it to stop hurting." I sat in the chair beside her bed. Not close enough for comfort, but close enough for compassion. Tiana, I said quietly. She sniffed, wiping her nose with trembling fingers. I never hated you, I continued. Her head shot up, eyes wide. You did. No, I hated what you did, but I never hated you. Tiana broke. Not dramatically. Not loudly. But like a cracked vase, finally letting go of the pressure it held for years. I'm so sorry, she whispered over and over. I'm so sorry, Elena, I'm sorry. Her body shook with sobs. I didn't touch her. I didn't hug her. But I didn't leave either. I simply said, you hurt me deeply, but I'm not here to punish you. I'm here because both of us need this chapter to end. She swallowed hard. I don't know how to fix anything. You can't undo what happened, I said gently. But you can choose who you become after. She stared at me, desperate for guidance. And for the first time, I realized something. She didn't betray me because she hated me. She betrayed me because she hated herself. Her jealousy, her insecurity, her desperation for attention, her belief that she could never be loved the way I was. None of that excused her actions, but it explained her pain. Get help, Tiana, I said softly. Choose healing, choose therapy, choose growth, choose yourself. She nodded slowly, tears dripping down her chin. I will, she whispered. And I believed her. I stood to leave. Before I reached the door, she called out, Elena. I turned. Thank you, she said. I nodded. And for the first time since the betrayal, I felt peace. Real peace. The freedom that followed. Leaving her room felt like shedding a heavy coat I didn't realize I was still wearing. Her mother hugged me in the hallway. You didn't have to come, she whispered, voice thick with gratitude. But I'm glad you did. I nodded politely. Then I walked away. Not looking back. Not out of cruelty. But because that chapter was finally closed. And closed right. Life opens a new door. That evening when I got home, my phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Everything okay? I had a feeling today was heavy for you. I stared at the screen. He always sensed things. Not because he was invasive, but because he paid attention. I sat on the couch and replied. I went to see my cousin at the hospital. It was emotional, but it was healing. He responded instantly. I'm proud of you. And if you need company, I can bring tea. If you need space, I can give you silence. Whatever you need, I'm here. My chest tightened. Not with fear. Not with pain. With warmth. With gratitude. With something I hadn't felt in a long time. Care is. Real gentle care. I replied. Tea sounds nice. 5 minutes later, he was knocking on my door. Not with flowers. Not with gifts. Not with grand gestures. Just a bag of tea, honey, and a quiet smile. Hi, he said softly. Hi, I whispered. He made the tea. We sat on the couch. We talked a little. We sat in silence a little more. He didn't ask questions. He didn't pry. He simply stayed. And in that simple act, I realized something. Not every love story begins with fireworks. Some begin with someone quietly sitting beside you. On a night you need warmth. The past no longer haunted me. The pain no longer controlled me. The betrayal no longer defined me. I had forgiven what needed forgiveness, released what needed releasing, and opened the door to a future that finally felt like it belonged to me. Healing wasn't a destination anymore. It had become a rhythm, a steady, gentle pulse in my life. I woke up each morning not with dread, not with heaviness, but with something I hadn't felt in years. Lightness. the kind of lightness that comes when you finally put down the weight that never belonged to you in the first place. And slowly, quietly, softly, something else began to grow in that empty space. Not fear, not anger, not bitterness, something warmer, something calmer, something new. The growing connection. After the evening he brought tea, Daniel and I began spending more time together. Not every day, not constantly, not obsessively, just naturally. Sometimes we walked after work. Sometimes we watched a documentary. Sometimes we sat in complete silence. And even that silence felt peaceful. He never pushed for more. Never asked questions I wasn't ready to answer. Never tried to fix what wasn't his to fix. He simply showed up. Exactly the way healing is supposed to show up. Quietly, consistently, gently. One night as we were walking near the lake, the wind picked up and I pulled my jacket tighter around me. Without a word, Daniel draped his scarf around my shoulders. I looked at him. He looked at the water. Like he didn't want to make it a big gesture. "It's cold," he said simply. My heart warmed. Not because of the scarf, but because he cared without demanding anything in return. That was the difference. That was everything. The unexpected fear. But healing doesn't erase every scar. One evening we were sitting on my couch, eating takeout after a long day at work. A movie was playing softly in the background. And then it happened. He reached for my hand. Not aggressively. Not suddenly. Just softly. But something inside me froze. Not because he did anything wrong, but because someone else once did everything wrong. My breath caught. My shoulders tensed. My heart raced. I slowly pulled my hand back. Daniel immediately noticed. His eyes widened not with anger, not with frustration, but with concern. He set his food aside and leaned back, giving me space. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked softly. I shook my head quickly. "It's not you," I whispered. "It's just leftover fear." He nodded slowly, absorbing every word. "Thank you for telling me." "I'm sorry," I said automatically. He frowned gently. "Don't apologize, your wounds aren't inconveniences, they're part of your story." My eyes blurred for a moment. I didn't cry, but I felt something loosen inside my chest. Daniel continued. "I'm not here to rush you. I'm not here for a deadline. I'm here because I see something beautiful in you, and I'm okay taking things one breath at a time." One breath at a time. I had never been given that before. With Marcus, everything was pressure. Expectations, demands, guilt, manipulation. With Daniel, everything was choice. Patience, respect, freedom. So instead of shutting down, instead of pushing him away, I whispered, "Thank you." And we continued our evening. Not holding hands, but holding understanding. The return of old voices. Just when life was beginning to feel steady, another ripple from the past appeared. Not Marcus, not Tiana. My own relatives. People who had stayed silent during the chaos. People who had watched the drama unfold like spectators at a theatre. People who blamed me for breaking the family, rather than holding the ones who betrayed me accountable. One Saturday morning my aunt called. I hesitated, then answered. "Elena," she said, not angrily, but in that disappointed tone that tries to shame you. "I heard you visited Tiana in the hospital." "Yes," I replied calmly. "That was good of you, but you know she's still struggling. She doesn't have many people left." I stayed silent. My aunt continued. "And I think you should consider reconnecting with her. She needs you right now. My jaw tightened. I already gave her closure, I said. But family is family, she argued. And she regrets everything. I closed my eyes. I knew this script too well. I had grown up being the strong one, the kind one, the understanding one. I used to bend until I broke. Not anymore. Aunt Marlene, I said softly. Tiana didn't need a cousin, she needed consequences, and she got them. She gasped on the other end. That's cruel. No, I corrected gently. What she did to me was cruel. What I'm doing is healthy. A long silence followed. Then, more quietly. So you won't help her? I already helped her, I said. I forgave myself for letting people treat me badly for so long. Then I ended the calls. For the first time in my life, I protected my inner peace without guilt. And it felt liberating. The day everything shifted. 2 weeks later, Daniel and I met at the botanical garden. It was warm, breezy. The kind of weather that makes flowers bloom and thoughts soften. We walked slowly, admiring the orchids, tulips and roses. I stopped in front of a small patch of yellow wildflowers. They're beautiful, I whispered. Daniel looked at me, not the flowers. You're beautiful, he said gently. I froze, not with fear, but with a sudden rush of emotion. Not flustered, not anxious, just overwhelmed. Because for the first time in a long time, the compliment didn't feel manipulative. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel fake. It felt honest. I turned toward him. Daniel, I need to tell you something. He listened, eyes warm. I'm healing, I'm growing, but I'm still figuring out how to trust again, and some days I'm scared. He stepped closer slowly, giving me time to pull away if I needed to. I know, he whispered. And I'm not here to take your fear away. I'm here to stand beside you while you learn to put it down yourself. My breath trembled. Then I said the words I had been holding for months. I think I'm finally ready for something real, but I need to go slow. His smile wasn't wide. It wasn't triumphant. It was soft, respectful, relieved. I'll go at your pace, he promised. Even if your pace is slow. I nodded. And then I reached for his hand. This time my fingers didn't shake. This time my chest didn't tighten. This time my heart didn't panic. His hand was warm, gentle, steady, and for the first time since my world fell apart, I felt safe. Truly safe. The woman who once thought betrayal would destroy her was now learning how to love again. Not because she needed someone, but because she finally chose someone who saw her worth, even when she was still learning to see it herself. Life has a strange way of healing you long before you realize you're healed. You wake up one day and realize the nightmares have stopped. The memories no longer sting. The wounds don't ache the way they used to. And one morning, without fanfare, without warning, you realize you've stepped out of the storm and didn't even notice when the rain stopped. That's what happened to me. Slowly, silently, beautifully. The peace before the rise. Weeks passed after Daniel and I took that first step together. And for the first time in years, my life didn't revolve around surviving. It revolved around living. I woke up early, watered my plants, drank tea, watched the sunrise. I spoke gently to myself. I learned how to rest, how to breathe, how to exist without waiting for something to hurt me. Every day felt like a small victory. And Daniel, he never tried to become my whole world. He simply built a place in it. Respectfully, slowly, naturally. We didn't rush into love. We didn't jump into labels. We didn't force anything. Our story grew like a garden, patiently, tenderly, quietly blooming. The return of the last ghost. But every story has one final test. One last ghost that knocks on your door to see if you're truly healed. Mine came on a warm Saturday afternoon. I was cleaning my balcony when I heard my phone buzz. A short message. A name I didn't expect anymore. Marcus. Not a call. Not a long text. Just 5 words. Can we talk one time? For a moment, I just stared at the screen. Not shaking. Not panicking. Not crying. Just calm. Healing wasn't about ignoring the past. It was about facing it without letting it control you. So I replied, "Okay, public place only." He agreed instantly. We met at a small cafe near the hospital. I arrived first, ordered a tea and waited. When he walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. His shoulders were slouched. His eyes were tired. He had aged not physically, but emotionally. He approached quietly, almost hesitantly. "Hi, Elena." "Hello, Marcus." He sat down. For a moment he just stared at his hands. Then he exhaled shakily. "I know I don't deserve your time. I know I've lost every right to be in your life. But I needed to see you, to tell you something." I said nothing. I simply listened. He swallowed. "You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't realize it until I lost everything. I thought the grass was greener, but the grass was fake. The life I built with you was real, and I destroyed it. I destroyed you." His voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Elena. Not because of consequences. Not because of guilt. But because hurting you was the worst mistake of my life." I took a slow breath. "Marcus, I don't hate you." His head snapped up. "You do." "No," I said gently. "Hate keeps you tied to the past. I cut that tie a long time ago." He blinked rapidly, emotion trembling in every breath. "I don't expect forgiveness." "I'm not giving forgiveness," I said calmly. "I'm giving closure." He nodded slowly. "I just needed you to know you didn't deserve what I did. You deserved loyalty, you deserved love, you deserved honesty." "I know," I said softly. "And now I give those things to myself." He closed his eyes, exhaling shakily. "I'm leaving the city today." "I know." He looked surprised. "I always knew this moment would come," I said. "And I'm glad it's ending with honesty, not bitterness." Marcus stood up slowly. "Goodbye, Elena." "Goodbye," I whispered. He hesitated, then walked away. I watched him leave. The man I once loved. The man who broke me. The man who no longer had power over me. I felt nothing except relief. A chapter had closed. Finally. Fully. Completely. The new beginning. That evening, Daniel came over with lemon ginger tea, our quiet tradition. When I opened the door, he smiled. But it wasn't his smile that melted me. It was the way his eyes softened as soon as he saw my expression. "You okay?" he asked gently. "I am," I said honestly. We sat on the carpet, teacups in hand. "I saw Marcus today," I said. Daniel didn't stiffen. Didn't overreact. Didn't interrogate. He simply nodded. "How do you feel?" "Free." His smile widened just slightly. Not possessive, not relieved, not triumphant. But proud. "I'm glad," he whispered. I took a deep breath. For the first time I realized something. I wasn't holding my heart to protect it from everyone. I was holding it. To give it to someone deserving. Slowly. Carefully. Intentionally. Daniel watched me, curious but patient. And for the first time, I reached for his hand. He intertwined his fingers with mine gently. giving me the time to pull away if I wanted to. I didn't. I think I said softly that I'm finally ready. His eyes warmed. For what? For love, I whispered. For new love, for healthy love, for real love. Daniel's expression softened into something I had never seen before. A mix of gratitude, tenderness, and quiet joy. He leaned forward just slightly. Can I kiss you? He asked. Not assuming. Not demanding. Asking. Giving me the choice. Yes, I whispered. And he kissed me. Not hungrily. Not desperately. Not possessively. But gently. Warmly. Respectfully. A kiss that didn't claim me, but honored me. A kiss that didn't reopen wounds, but sealed them. A kiss that didn't steal breath, but gave it back. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't a rebound. This wasn't a replacement. This wasn't a distraction. This was peace. This was growth. This was love. The kind that heals instead of hurts. 1 year later, a year after that kiss, I stood on my balcony watering plants, the morning sun warming my shoulders. Inside, I heard Daniel humming while cooking breakfast. He always cooked on Sundays. Life felt calm, steady, full. Not perfect. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Just real. I picked up my phone and took a picture of the sunrise. Something I never did in the old chapter of my life. A soft breeze brushed my skin. And for the first time, I whispered the truth that had taken me so long to realize. I saved myself. Not Daniel. Not forgiveness. Not time. Me. I saved myself when I walked away from hurt. I saved myself when I chose healing. I saved myself when I opened my heart again. Not because I needed love, but because I deserved it. My story didn't end with betrayal. It didn't end with revenge. It didn't end with heartbreak. It ended with me choosing myself and finding someone who knew how to love the healed version of me. This was not a story about losing someone. It was a story about finding myself. And that is the real happy ending.